Hate porgs? Don't watch this video. This is the official LEGO Star Wars The Last Jedi buildable Porg. People have known that this was coming down the pipeline for quite a long time, since long before it was officially revealed, and now it is at last been released to the public. It is not a UCS or Ultimate Collector's Series set, although it is definitely designed for display, and in fact it is designed for maximum realism for a LEGO build, almost to the point of being exactly life-sized, properly scaled to how these things would be in real life if they were real. Well, they are based off puffins, which are very real, and yeah, the sizing here is pretty good. The most surprising thing about this to me is how it's built on the inside to get that mouth moving feature that I showed you at the start. This is how it looks after finishing the first bag of parts. It's a Technic frame on the inside, completely dotted with pins that have the little stud extension on them all over it. And after this point, you just start attaching plate-based and brick-based assemblies to that central frame. So it's a very hollow build, but it does not feel like it. When you're finished with this, it has some substance to it. It feels like you're picking up something very solid. It doesn't shake around all the pieces that you've attached or the sub-assemblies that you've attached to that central skeletal core. And there are so many pieces that are layered upon it that it definitely has a lot of weight. I would not know that this is very hollow if I hadn't built it myself, or at least looked at the instructions. Tons of detailing around the back. That I did not expect at all. And around the side of the head. Now you do see some gray showing through amongst the orange feather details there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, there is supposed to be some blending that occurs that's not a perfect gradient. You know, you'd have different colors of feathers on birds or on porgs in this case, and I think they did a pretty good job actually of pulling that off, you know, not making it look too artificial. You don't get any pieces showing from the outside that are completely off scheme. You don't see any, like, you know, red Technic pieces or blue pins or anything sticking out. There's a little bit of sand blue that's intentionally used just for the tip feathers right there, and they really built out the tail quite a bit. You actually have to have a little bit of a stand underneath there with the tile that's placed at the same height as the feet. The feet can be moved from side to side just a little bit, but they're fairly loose. You can kind of move the toes individually just a little bit if you want to do a little toe tap, but that doesn't really accomplish much, and they're supposed to be lined up with the legs. Anyway, overall, I'm satisfied with the build here, and the action I think is better than it needs to be, because not only does it move the mouth as I showed there, and you get to that, I guess you can see just a little bit of Technic just underneath there if you look very carefully, but it's mostly in shadow, so again, it's not bugging me. But the mechanism is right here from the tippy tip of the tail. This portion can be pushed down, and that activates the mouth, but it also activates the wings. See, the wings are just able to flap here. They're just flappy, and they even have a little bit of detailing beneath them, so as these pop open, again, you don't see weird colors under there. So I very much appreciate that. That requires some specific conscious work on the part of the designers, and in the past they've really not done a good job at that. Looks like they're doing a much better job of that these days in response to requests from folks like us, you know, just the fans who don't want to see that weird stuff. But check out the mechanism here. So you open the mouth and you move the wings just a little bit, but if you push down hard, then the wings will look like they flap a little bit more. You know, they actually pop up. And this is all just returning through gravity. There's no rubber band or anything used in there, no spring. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I would prefer if the wings were able to flap up just a little bit more. You kind of expect them to move their wings as they chirp or as they talk, again based on the real birds that are the reason for the Porgs existing in the Star Wars universe in the first place. And inside the mouth, that has some detail as well. They got the little teeth, or pseudo teeth. I don't know what they're supposed to be exactly, but those are shown there. And I only wish that you could hold this in a mouth open position, at least part way. I think that would have been interesting. You can probably do a little bit of customization to change the expression on the face by changing these feathers up here to make them look a little bit mad or a little bit sad. Of course, the sad face is the best one if you didn't hate Porgs. But look at that. On the inside, red. No blue, no weird colors, no yellow or anything. Again, well-chosen parts. The build goes together pretty well. I guess you can angle after everything goes together. Originally, you can angle the eyes from side to side just a little bit, but not so much anymore. Everything seems to get clamped together. The head is on a swivel. It's on a hinge, but that itself is kind of locked in place now as well. So it's always going to be looking up. Yeah, I mean, if you like these things and you like Lego, I think that Lego has made a good combination of the two here. It was an enjoyable build to put together, I can say that, if you're on the fence about it. And the value seems, to me personally, to be appropriate given the build, given the weight of it all, and given the number of pieces. Though again, this is not officially an Ultimate Collector's Series set. They have the UCS style plaque with a little bit of information about it. You know, they don't have the dimensions and armament and such like they're usually able to do with things that get this style of plaque. But you know, it's something that just kind of helps it to go with the series if you like that. And it comes with a minifig-ish scaled Porg, and that just has the same printed piece that's used on the other two releases of Porgs of this scale. The previous ones coming in regular minifig scaled sets, and also the UCS Millennium Falcon. And this one just has the fully dark gray body with the black tail and the white chest piece. And that's just it for the whole set. A lot fewer people actually dislike Porgs than you would think if you use the internet. It's just that folks who dislike stuff tend to be a lot louder, especially in public forums, than folks who like things. And that's just how it is. There's a lot of misconception about the genesis of Porgs. A lot of people especially dislike them because they think of them like Ewoks, as just vehicles to sell merchandise, you know, cutesy things to get people to want to buy them. And that's just so not the case in this specific case. It's a rare case of something being created that's cutesy and very marketable that wasn't designed for marketing purposes. It was designed, as is well documented, because there are so many puffins that look very similar to this, just with beaks instead, and slightly smaller looking eyes from a distance. There's just so many of them out there on the islands where the Octo sequences are or were filmed that, you know, they couldn't CGI them out without spending a ton of money and time, and so they came up with this idea of creating these little aliens that look a lot like them, especially from a distance in the wide shots and such. But that's all well documented. That's its own thing. I personally think that Lego has done a pretty good job of capturing what these things are. I didn't talk about the nose, but I think that's one of the cooler parts of the build, just a clever use of a couple of relatively recent pieces there. The main thing that I don't like about this is that if you see the box in person, you will think that this is going to be a big display item. It's of some size, but it's not as big as the box suggests. You know, just if you use that picture as kind of your reference, and also the size of the box on the whole. So if you see this box in person, know that it's going to create something that only comes up to the base of the jaw here. But do pick up that box, feel that weight, and just imagine that much weight being concentrated into something this small. It's very dense and does not feel hollow at all, and that helps to put the price, I think, into perspective a little bit. It would definitely be an easier pill to swallow, the price, if it was that tall, but it's not but it's very well detailed. I think it's a case of quality over quantity here, and I think the designer, again, did a good job, and the little motion feature is very nice. I just wish that they had made it a little bit easier to keep that open. It's very easy to just add in a couple more pieces to, or even just to stick something in there. I think I can even just stick my minifigure in there right now to just create, yeah, there we go. So that'll hold it open, but the feature isn't built in, but it's easy enough to do. And yeah, I think it'll look just fine on display for folks who actually like Porgs. But that's it for my look at this set. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Whether you like the Porgs that they're based on or not, I'll talk to you again as soon as I can.